Hi all, this is Sean from Time and Talk. Today's video is going to be about the Explorer 39mm and essentially whether Rolex were right to bring back the 36mm, just my opinion obviously, and also a little bit about the value of the 39mm. So you'll have seen it creeping up, particularly if you're an owner of the 39mm, and you'll have been watching it, I guess, with interest and thinking, how far can this go? I remember before Baselworld, before it was introduced, the 36, the 39mm was about 6,000, 7,000, depending on where you looked. You could probably get it cheaper from other places. The retail price was 5,150 or 5,200. And obviously it's been steadily climbing since its discontinuation. And it's an interesting one really, because it does make me think, do Rolex deliberately release watches in order to increase the value of their other pieces? Because this is an unloved watch that Rolex have decided is not for them anymore, the 39mm Explorer. And now the prices are going a little bit crazy. I mean, hit me in the comments and tell me how far you think it will go. Just after I was checking out Watchfinder and they were selling it at about 8,000, and people seem to be snapping these up and they seem to be going, and they did leave quite quickly from the listings. The latest one that I've seen is 9,750, and that's Watchfinder, and nobody's snapped on that one yet. That's a Mark II 214270 without a box, with papers, or vice versa. I mean, it does raise the question, I guess, who's buying an Explorer for £10,000? Because that's not the point of an Explorer. I mean, if you want one, I guess you're going to get one, because you can't get one any other way except for the second-hand and grey market now. But think of the watches you could buy for 10,000, and that's a lot of money, and potentially the kind of person who's going to have that money to spare is not the type of person that would go for the Explorer. I'm not sure if I'm being unfair. So yeah, I mean, I guess another question is, like, should we cash in? If we have an Explorer, should we cash in? And perhaps, one of my dream watches, for example, is a GMT Master, and could we get to the stage where an Explorer would cost the same, so we might as well get the GMT Master? Obviously I chose the Explorer, and at the time it was slightly more easy to get hold of some sports models, so they had the sub in stock, so it was a choice. I'm not saying that I would rather have the GMT, but I guess it makes you think, doesn't it? And also, I mean, it's not possible, because Rolexes are like houses. As the others go up in value, the others do too, so the others become more out of reach, if you like. So yeah, just hit me in the comments and tell me what you think. How far do you think this will go in terms of the increase in value? I paid 4,300 for the Explorer when I bought it, and it's obviously increased in value since 2016, 5 years ago obviously. So another thing is, did Rolex make the right decision? Was it the right call to bring back the 36mm? Obviously a lot of people were quite excited at the time. I've got to be honest, I was a bit shocked when it happened, and I was a bit, at first, kind of like, oh no, what does this mean for my watch? Why is it being discontinued and all that? The two main watches in my collection, the first Amiga in space and the Rolex 214270 39mm Explorer, both been discontinued in the past few months, so I feel a bit like rejected in a way, I guess. So in terms of pros and cons, in terms of a yes, they should have brought it back. The history of it, when the Explorer was first released, I think it was in 1953. Since then, it's always been a 36mm watch. There is I think it's the 5500, which is an Explorer dial essentially, in an Air King case, which is a 34mm. But it's always been a 36mm. So, if you're a purist, if you like, you'll always think of the Rolex Explorer as being a 36mm watch. So in that sense, Rolex have just gone back to the roots of the watch. and it is the right decision. However, it's in contradiction to everything else they've been doing recently with their models, inflating the sizes. You know, even the sub's 41mm now, so you know it kind of doesn't make sense in a way. A lot of people, when the 39mm was first introduced, they talked about the proportions of the watch, so they decried the fact that the watch was less well proportioned than 39mm. I get that. I do think as an object, the 36mm watch is more well proportioned, but I'm talking about the 5-digit and the 4-digit. 114270, yeah, the 5-digit and before watches, not necessarily with the new 36mm in my opinion. I'll explain why in a minute. And also from the perspective of the purist, you know, from a watch collecting standpoint, a lot of people will have been disappointed by the increase in size and will have always thought of the Explorer as a 36mm watch, and you know, bringing it back just in a way, I think a lot of people have said it shows that Rolex are listening to the people who are buying the watches, though. Are Rolex Explorer buyers really the people that Rolex are listening to? It doesn't seem that way given everything else they're doing. And that's another video, I guess. In terms of in terms of modern tastes, you know, for modern tastes, 36mm is small for a watch. I remember when I was buying the 39mm Explorer, I tried on the 36mm and I thought that would be the one for me. And it didn't really resonate with me on the wrist. As I said, as an object, I prefer the look of the 36mm, but you've got to wear it. That's what a watch is for. And something about it didn't resonate with me. I don't know if it was the size only, but you know, 36mm is smaller than most men's watches. And it does make you think kind of why did they bring back the 36 when the majority of people who will buy these watches are people who already have other Rolex watches, because they're the people who'll be able to get on the waiting lists and things like that. Yeah, it's an interesting one if you see what I mean. In terms of another note, it seems to be out of line with everything Rolex have been doing recently. I mean, the Oyster Perpetual went to 41mm, the Sub went to 41mm, the GMT stayed at 40, but you know, a lot of people think it's only a matter of time. The Explorer 2 went to 42mm from 40. So why have Rolex gone backwards with the Explorer? I don't really get it, and I don't think it goes with a lot of the other choices that they've made. Rolex watches and the decisions that they make seem to be they're catering for the people who already buy their watches, so perhaps that's why. I don't know, tell me what you think. I don't really get it. I was a bit shocked that a lot of people thought it'd go to 41 or it'd have a white dial, but yeah, I don't really understand. In terms of the proportions as well of the watch, I don't really agree, sorry, with the idea that the 39mm was less proportionate. I think one of the things that people said about the Mark 1, which I'm wearing, is that the handset was less proportionate because the hands didn't reach the markers at the sides. And you know, that problem to a certain extent was solved with the Mark II. But I also think that people have kind of a bee in the bonnet about the 39mm, and it doesn't stand up really, because having looked at pictures of the 36, for me the problem with the Rolex Explorer 36mm, the current one, as well as all of the Rolex watches, is the kind of blockiness of them. So the bezel on the Explorer is flatter than it seemed to be in the past. I'll put a picture up, and it's that for me which kind of makes the 39mm less aesthetically appealing, if you like, than the 36mm. It's not anything about the proportions of the case, because you'd imagine it's all relative, isn't it? If one section's bigger, the other sections are bigger, so in proportion they would work. perhaps that's just a criticism of the Mark 1 and I've kind of misunderstood, but for me, the same will hold for the new 36mm in that it's got that kind of blocky case that all modern Rolexes have got, and what people like about the 36mm is the fact that it's a classic Rolex with the kind of curvy bezel and the less blocky case. So yeah, so that's just my opinion about some of the reasons why they maybe haven't made the right decision, or they have made the right decision in bringing back the 36mm. I think in general, I think it's a good decision to bring back the 36mm. I think it doesn't really align with a lot of the things that Rolex have done with their other models, but I think moving to a more traditional Rolex style can only be a good thing for me, because I like the 5-digit references and the past models. The current models seem a little bit blocky, a little bit soulless to me. But tell me what you think about the reintroduction of the 36mm, and tell me what you think about the value of the Rolex Explorer 39mm, the long-term value. Should it be right into my accountant? And looking forward to a windfall. And if you like my channel, please subscribe. Thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.